Welcome, everyone. Good morning. If you'd like to join us singing our opening hymn this morning, we're going to be singing number 403. So please join us in body and spirit, and we'll sing together.
Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Manhattan. I'm Pastor Isabel Cole. I use she and they pronouns. We are a diverse, evolving spiritual community acting for a better world. We gather to support each other in our personal and community growth. Here, we cherish many opportunities to practice working together cooperatively and in friendship, keeping the greater good of the whole at heart. And so this morning, and anytime you cross our threshold, you are welcome, just as you are and just as you are becoming, in your fabulousness, in your vulnerability, in your extroversion and your introversion, with all your questions and convictions, your heart, your mind, your body, perfectly imperfect, are fully welcome here. This morning, our tech lead is Mark Mayfield, our greeter is Jessica Severs, and Linda Johnson is our Zoom host. Visitors and newcomers, please know that Jessica and Linda are especially available to chat and answer questions after the service. And if you see a new face here today, consider inviting that person to coffee or tea or our potluck after the service in the Allsop Hall. Later, we will share the gratitudes, joys, and sorrows that have arisen in our lives this week. Please feel free to write them down on a paper nearby, or when the time comes later, you can type them into the chat. And now we have some announcements.
Good morning. My name is Hannah Morgan Phelps, and my pronouns are they, she, and as Isabel said, I have our announcements for this week. So, first of all, as Isabel said, our theme this month is Awakening Curiosity. We'll be deepening into the theme during our in-gathering today after the service, where we'll join for a potluck and then break out into groups to do different activities. We realized after last in-gathering that it would be helpful to have a point person to look to say, hey, what's going on? And Sarah will be serving as our point person there in the back. The groups that we will be breaking into are planning services with Isabel, planning music with Jeff, and altar crafting building with, I forget who's doing that this month. Sarah.
Do you need me to pop on the Zoom real quick so people on Zoom can know who I am by my face?
I think it's okay. I think it's okay if we don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably Sage is doing
I haven't seen Sage. Altar crafting with whoever's here doing it. We can be flexible. But that's happening today. We're updating the art in the narthex. Our deadline for new art to be added is on the 8th, so please have the form that was in the newsletter filled out so that our wonderful people who are hanging the art know who it belongs to and can label it correctly. And then we'll have a reception where we can take a look at the new art, celebrate our wonderful artists in our community after service on the 10th. I was just updated that the Flint Hills Masterwork Choral and Flint Hills Youth Choirs are having a joint performance this coming Wednesday, the 6th, at 6 p.m. at Forum Hall. If you have questions, would like to learn more, ask Larry Weaver. The Helping Hands team has asked for nominations for who should be our Helping Hands organizations for this coming year. They are asking to send nominations to them by the 8th, and we will have a meeting after service on the 17th to discuss that. And then my final update is that you may be aware we have a little fair trade equal exchange area in the narthex where you can buy coffee, chocolate. There's going to be some updates coming to that area. It's going to move very shortly, and our new coordinator for that, Jennifer, if you'd like to wave, is going to be sending out a survey shortly to ask about potentially updating the things that we have there. Jennifer and I were talking about it. There's flavored coffee, if that's your thing. There was a hazelnut cream one that I thought sounded very fun. There's chocolates with caramel, there's tea options. So if you're interested in potentially expanding what we have, having things other than milk chocolate, dark chocolate, regular coffee, and decaf coffee, you should keep an eye out for that survey and fill it out when it's shared out. And that is all of my announcements for this week. And I will now pass it off to the chalice lighting.
Many thanks to Ann Cowan, who led our fair trade work for so many years.
Good morning. Hello, my name is Christy, and my pronouns are she, her. I will read the words of Betts Weineke as Pastor Isa lights the chalice. May this flame, by Betts Weineke. May this flame, symbol of transformation since time began, fire our curiosity, strengthen our wills, and sustain our courage as we seek what is good within and around us.
Now please join us again in body and spirit as we sing hymn number 92, Mysterious Presence, Source of All.
Thy Good morning. My name is Emily Fraser, and I am the Director of Religious Education here at UUFM. My pronouns are she and they. And we are about to do our time for all ages here in the service, after which, if there are any children that would like to come to the back with me in the Jupiter room for some RE session time, you are welcome to do so. But we are going to first have some fun in here. So this month's Soul Matters theme is Awakening Curiosity. For those of you who don't know, Soul Matters is a resource that offers ideas for Sunday services, adult small groups, in our case we call those chalice circles, some of you are involved in some of them, and child and youth religious education sessions that are organized around monthly themes. And they're aimed at engaging the whole church in conversation and experiences around these themes in various ways and encouraging dialogue across generations. So that's something that we use here at UUFM to try and keep the conversations flowing. So today, we're awakening curiosity about scarcity, or that feeling of not being or not having enough. So water is a great metaphor for exploring scarcity because it is something that not all people or places have the same access to. It is not always in the form or quantities that are needed to sustain life in a given place or time. So we learn about the water cycle. Anybody know about the water cycle? Right? Yeah, so it's evaporation, condensation, precipitation, right? Yes. So, and it's the thing that describes that continuous natural movement of water both on, above, and below the Earth's surface, constantly changing between liquid, solid, and gas. So, like we were just saying, it evaporates, turns into a gas, moves up above the Earth's surface, condensates, forming clouds, and then it precipitates, comes back down to the surface as rain or snow, and collects on or below the surface of the Earth in lakes, rivers, streams, oceans, groundwater, snow-capped mountains, icebergs, all that good stuff. But with big changes in weather patterns, some places aren't getting enough precipitation, and other places are getting way too much. And the collections of fresh water, which is the kind that we need to drink and to water our plants and all of that good stuff, they're not being reliably refilled by the water cycle in the same way anymore. So on top of that, there are ways that we as humans are able to move water around and claim ownership of water and make money off of it, and even ways that we pollute the water, making it unsafe to drink and use. And yet, water is abundant. It is beautiful and transformative, and it's ever present. It is a defining element and characteristic of the planet that we're on, right? And we are even made of water, mostly. That's most of what we are. So right now, we're going to listen to a song, and it's about water. And I encourage you all to get in touch with the water within you. Get curious about your relationship with it. And I welcome you to feel the music and move, as the song says, as it is called Move Like Water, to move like water. Take it away.
Energy isn't just a promise, it's an expectation. So whether we're alerting you to outages or quickly getting crews to your area, you can count on Evergy, no matter.
I move my arms in a wave-like motion, just like the water moves in the ocean. I move my arms in a doggy paddle. I make misty raindrops, just like in Seattle, like water. I move like water. I move like water. I move like water, water, water. I go to the beach, I go to the sea. Water is a gift that is given for free. Water is you and water is me. It helps every animal, plant, and tree. It's water. I move like water. I move my arms in a wave-like motion, just like the water moves in the ocean. I move my arms in a doggy paddle. I make misty raindrops just like in Seattle, like water. I move like water. I move like water. I move like water, water, water. Water is wet and sometimes fizzy. Water makes habitats for froggies and fishies. Water makes sand and dirt feel squishy. Mother Earth is generous, isn't she? Water helps every living thing. If you listen, you could hear the water sing. Drink me, taste me, please don't waste me. I expect your respect. Keep on learning, keep on growing, keep on moving, keep on flowing like water. I move like water, I move like water. I move like water, water, water. I move my arms in a wave like a motion, just like the water moves in the ocean. I move my arms in a doggy paddle. I make misty raindrops just like in Seattle, like water.
We're gonna sing, whoa, sorry, didn't mean to get so close to that. Now we're gonna sing the children out, as we do.
Go and love our hearts, go with you. Go enjoy our hopes, go do. And love and grow in wisdom, light on all you do. Go and love our hearts, go with you. Enjoy our hopes, go do. Learn and love and grow in wisdom. At the Flint Hills Wisdom Keepers gathering last weekend, we sat in a large circle with Indigenous elders and listened. Today I bring some of my learning from Pat McCabe, or Weyakpa Najin Win, which translates to Woman Stands Shining. She is a Dene or Navajo mother, grandmother, activist, artist, writer, ceremonial leader, and international speaker. So on Friday night, she stood at the center of the circle with a pitcher of water and reminded us that they have lived on this planet since the beginning of time. This water, this exact water, knew our ancestors. She asked us to relate to the water as a living being who remembers all of Earth's history and who longs to co-create a good future with us. She set the pitcher down at the center of the circle so that we could honor the water and so that they could listen to us. During our breaks and sleeping time, she covered the pitcher with a cloth to keep out the dust and six-leggeds and tiny winged ones. And then on Sunday afternoon, she invited us to put a bit of our water in our water bottles so that we could drink it in and carry memories of the gathering home. So today, I bring you those memories. Pat McCabe says that she aims to have an ongoing, mad love affair with the earth. Have you ever fallen in love? Anyone in here? Sort of. She challenged us. Try to fall in love only with your brain. It's not possible. Love is not a thought alone. It is an action and experience, a gift given and received. While I was at Council Grove last weekend, our friend Charlie Huffman from the Kaw Nation was here. I don't know exactly what she talked about. Did she share about her work at the Kanza Prairie? Not this time. So what she does, she brings Kanze wisdom and science to the Kanza Prairie Biological Station. The methodology involves teaching K-State scientists vocabulary for the more than human beings on the prairie in the ancestral language of this land. And when I've spent time with Charlie on the land, whenever she picks a flower or takes anything, she asks permission first. And she leaves a small offering of tobacco or some other gift. This is what you do when you're in love. You listen deeply enough to feel the invitation into reciprocity. It's not a transaction, it's a dance. We've been invited to the dance, specifically the Kaw Nation Powwow next month, just south of Council Grove. Has anyone here been to the powwow before? Yeah, at least one person. I've been. It's a dance. They have a new welcome center there. The place is remarkable, 168 acres of their own rightful land in the last location they were restricted to before being removed completely to Oklahoma, repurchased by the Kaw Nation in 2002. So repair remains undone between the Kaw Nation and the people who live on their land. But they are coming home, and they welcome us to the dance. One of the justifications for the genocidal efforts against indigenous peoples has been that they neglected the productive potential of this land. This justification is, of course, rooted in greed and willful ignorance of the remarkable land management and social practices of the original peoples. Kaw Nation citizen and language director Desiree Storm-Brave says that it's true that her ancestors sometimes ran out of corn. But this was because their crops were so prolific that tribes from all over were welcome to come and take their fill, so that not quite enough was left. And yet her ancestors thrived for centuries before colonization, despite periods of scarcity that inevitably came. They stored their surplus in the bellies of their neighbors, a long-term sustainable investment practice. The corn grown on this land by the Kanza descended from a wild grass strain with whom the indigenous peoples of central Mexico first collaborated 9,000 years ago. It's a story of the dance between the plant's unique gifts and the human gift for technology, says Robin Wall-Kimmerer. Not technology in the sense of autonomous machines that separate us from the living world, but a sacred technology which unites us. Using indigenous science, she continues, the human and the plant are linked as co-creators. Humans are midwives to this creation, not masters. The plant innovates and the people nurture and direct that creativity. They're joined in a covenant of reciprocity, of mutual flourishing. So I brought this morning a cousin to those ancient grasses and maize. Does anybody have an allergy that would make it a problem for me to pass this around? Okay. So feel free to take and eat some corn. Don't be nervous about crunching. We can listen to your crunching. And those of you at home, I bet you have some corn somewhere in your pantry. That is my guess, that you're welcome to connect with. Thank you to the people and plant ancestors who made this food possible. Pat McCabe shared about ongoing efforts to rematriate ancient corn varieties across Turtle Island. She told of a discovery of ancient seeds from a forgotten cave and the work with tribal governments to revive them. These seeds, ancient family members, have stories to tell, she says, and need people in order to be heard. But some stewards of the land are reluctant because once planted, a corn variety can take on a life of its own, cross-pollinating with others in ways that farmers might not like. She spoke of testifying in the Hopi Legislative Chamber, a grand building with important people arranged in layers of circles, some wearing suits and ties, others in multicolored and patterned traditional clothing. All in all, it was rather intimidating. While she spoke, a grandmother carefully placed jar after jar after jar of different colors of seed on the table. Pat McCabe watched as many a stern decision-maker was moved to tears by the beauty and abundance of this ancient endowment. She saw them become Hopi again as they decided together to bring the corn varieties back to life. Dr. Michael Kotutwa Johnson, a scientist at the University of Arizona and a 250th generation traditional Hopi dryland farmer, says that corn seeds are at the heart of who we are. They're the very essence of life. They're not just material objects. Seeds are a life force. I'm curious what plays this role for Unitarian Universalists of the Flint Hills. What more than human being brings us into relationship with earth and into relationship with our ancestors? Who, beyond our wonderful two-legged collaborators, remembers where we came from and envisions where we might go? As your pastor and as a natural resource economist, I venture to suggest that this sacred role is not fulfilled by money, even if the generosity of our forebears may bring us to tears and inspire us to think 7 generations into the future. My PhD research turned out to have a lot to do with maize, or corn, though I hadn't expected it to. My original goal was to work on the economics of climate change mitigation. This was the early 2000s, and it was becoming clear that if we keep doing things the way we've been doing them, we will die. I was invited into a research contract that was investigating the feasibility of sequestering greenhouse gases through planting more trees in sub-Saharan Africa. The proposed scheme was based on the carbon market, the idea being that if we could connect African farmers to monetary benefit, then they could make land use choices that would benefit the planet as a whole. Turned out this wasn't feasible. This wasn't going to work. The farmers I met in Western Kenya were reliant on maize and bean crops for their household consumption. They had no credit or savings to cover planting trees and waiting for them to mature, and no reason to trust that they would be compensated for such decisions, for such an investment. They also didn't trust that they'd be able to buy the kind of food that they wanted and needed if they weren't growing it themselves. These folks, mostly elders and women with children, receiving a bit of cash from working-age men in urban areas, had relationships with the land. From the perspective of my research funders, the relationship was tenuous at best. The land floods, and progressively less fertile landholdings shrinking with each generation of sons more numerous than the last. If they keep doing things the way they've been doing, the logic went, they're going to die. Carbon sequestration was just the latest cash crop outsiders were attempting to use to rescue people from their situation. Cotton had been the craze in the 80s, eucalyptus trees since then for wood, and both with problematic side effects. None of these schemes had been purely motivated by generosity, let alone reparations that remain unpaid to the people and land of colonial Africa. Why were we expecting poor farmers to offset rich people's carbon footprints? My mind was increasingly boggled, my heart no less broken than when I launched myself into trying to help. There was scarcity on the landscape, and more expected with rapidly changing climate. But as I sat with new friends inside their earthen home, drinking tea with milk from their beloved cow, scooping beans up and into my mouth with a gritty paste of cooked maize, I understood also that there was abundance. I fell in love with the people and the place. I didn't need to run any simulations to conclude that climate change was a huge problem for them. But it wasn't their problem to solve. The problem belongs to those of us who live unsustainably and spiritually unsustained in plenty. Our tons of greenhouse gases, never fully compensating for the heartbreak of our disconnection from Earth. The problem belongs to those who have not learned to store their surplus in the belly of their neighbors. I began to understand that scarcity, which is taken as a natural law in the field of economics, is a quality of the mind, and particularly the colonized and colonizing mind, a self-fulfilling prophecy, the effect, not the cause, of devastation. Listening to Pat McCabe talk about maize last Saturday, a question exploded in my mind. An obvious question I'd never thought to ask during my PhD research. What was corn doing in Africa? My gut knew the answer immediately as soon as I asked the question, but I looked into it. Maize was brought to Europe soon after it was discovered by Christopher Columbus, and it made it to the western shores of Africa as food for traders by the 1600s. Within decades, farmers throughout the continent had adopted it because of its high calorie content and ease of growing. The upshot was a rapid increase in population density and an increase in the export of enslaved people. Meanwhile, in the new United States, peoples and corn were being colonized. Colonists take what they want and attempt to erase the rest, says Robin Wall Kimmerer, conceiving of plants and land and people too as objects, not subjects, as things instead of beings, she continues, provides the moral distance that enables exploitation. This exploitation was wrought on this land and the people of the land, on the enslaved people brought here and fed corn, mush, on their cousins remaining in Africa as European colonization took over the continent, and on maize itself. In 1492, there were 100,000 varieties of maize living here, and now there are only 20,000. So no wonder jars of recently discovered ancient seeds led Hopi leaders to weep, tears of recognition and hope. What makes us weep such tears? what not only symbolizes recovery from scarcity, but embodies the heart of who we are. If we keep doing things the way we've been doing them, we're going to die. I heard this statement earlier this month from a UUFM member concerned about our deficit spending, which is reducing the amount of money in our endowment. It brought up in me the same visceral urgency that fueled the early phase of my research. But with my own spiritual work in community and on the land, I'm recovering from scarcity-induced fear and urgency. I understand that the reason we must pivot from doing things the way we've been doing them is not that we'll run out of money, but that rather that we are a diverse, evolving spiritual community acting for a world better than what we're swimming in now. We must change not just what we do, but how we do it. We must learn to stop being masters so we can be midwives. We must join in a covenant of reciprocity, of mutual flourishing. So in service of that diverse, evolving spiritual community, I will say on behalf of the UUFM staff that there's plenty of worthwhile work to do at our current level of employment. But we love and believe in this congregation, and we want to trust your collective decision-making. So if you faithfully decide that evolving and acting for a better world, being a safe haven and a force for justice is best pursued by reducing payroll expenses, and you don't spring it on us, we will understand, and we will do our best within new constraints. When I ask you to reframe your thinking about the budget, it's not to deny the importance of hard decisions. It is simply to take capital off its pedestal. Our endowment is a huge blessing, and immense gratitude and thoughtful stewardship are more than appropriate. But our endowment is not where our value lives. This community would still exist without our endowment, but it cannot survive without our love for each other. It takes constant vigilance to refuse to confuse the worth of our community and the net worth of our institution. We are trained to think in terms of value, and value as monetary value. But that doesn't line up with our values, our spiritual values. What we can least afford is a moral distance between the spiritual work of colonizing our minds, bodies, and hearts, and the practical work of sustaining our mission. I'll say it again. What we can least afford is a moral distance between these projects of decolonizing ourselves, our communities, our practices, and the practical work of sustaining our mission. They're not separate projects. They both demand co-creativity. They both involve money and repair. And they both call us into that mad love affair with the earth that makes it all worthwhile.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Linda Johnson, and I am the Zoom host this morning. Now I invite you into the spirit of generosity. When we give, we say yes to the natural cycle of abundance in our lives, and we say yes to building beloved communities within and beyond our walls. To live our faith in the larger world, throughout the month of May, we share our gifts with the Helping Hands organization, which is the Manhattan Area Resettlement Team, which offers assistance to immigrants who have come to this country, especially the Afghans who came after our war in Afghanistan. Money placed in envelopes in the offering basket will go to MART. Unmarked donations will go into the UUFM General Fund to support our mission. Many of us donate online to the fellowship, to the Helping Hands organization, and or the Blessing Box at UUFM/donate, or using the QR code on your order of service. As the basket goes around, let us remember that generosity is about so much more than money. It's also about the ways we show up in the world, smiling at a stranger, caring for neighbors, holding the door open for someone. When the basket comes to you, you may add any written gratitudes, joys, and sorrows. Even if you aren't putting anything in the basket today, you can pause while holding it as a ritual of thanks for the generosity of our world. If you're here on Zoom, type your gratitudes, joys, and sorrows into the chat and turn on your camera if you'd like to be seen in the sanctuary. Let us move now into generous presence.
Thank you, Renee. So we've come to the time in our service when we receive and share gifts of support and vulnerability. In a few minutes, after we've heard the gratitudes, joys, and sorrows you've written down, there'll be time to come forward and drop stones in this bowl to signify what is on your heart. The water in the bowl is sacred not just because it symbolically holds what we bring today. Like all water, it connects us to living beings across time and space, and it connects us to each other. So please take a few minutes and thank the river in your body for bringing you to this moment. Maybe, Christy, could you pour that water that'll connect us to people who've shared joys and sorrows in the past.
All right, please join us in singing our final hymn today, number 1074 in the blue hymnal. It'll also be up on the screen. Turn the World Around. We close with the brief words of the Reverend Tandy Rogers. May your wonder be bigger than your fear. May questions lead you gently into the truth, not control. May you meet the unknown with wide eyes and let your spirit be surprised. Now, may we leave this friendly place